Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Whiskey Wednesday Show with your hosts Ken Tizzard and Music for Goats. Brought to you in full color and stereo sound with amplification provided by Trainer. Broadcasting into the world from Storyhouse Studios in Campbellford, Ontario, you'll hear the best of old country, folk, Americana, punk rock, and 80s music delivered into your homes every week for free. And don't forget your regular dose of new and original songs from Music for Goats. Never be alone on a Wednesday night again, 8 p.m. Eastern and 9:30 for those of you in Newfoundland. Join the Whiskey Wednesday regulars on Facebook to be a part of the conversation, or watch on YouTube as well. Pour a drink, a cup of tea, or a nice cold long tooth. Roll up your best smoke and sit back and relax. Don't forget to hit the share button to help spread the word. The Whiskey Wednesday Show, every week. Cheers. And yes, so, I didn't hit the mute, see? I pressed the mute, but fuck. So Rick Mercer's in National Geographic this month?
Canadian Geographic.
What is Canadian Geographic?
Well, it's the Canadian version. Canadian Geographical magazine.
But is it put out by National Geographic?
No, it's put out by the Canadian Geographical Society.
But I thought National Geographic kind of owned
That's
that
sort
thing.
of American, it's the Canadian version.
Oh, cool. I guess, yeah, National Geographic I always
It's been
associated
around for
with.
hundreds of years.
Well, I remember.
At least
Yeah.
tens anyway.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So Rick Mercer is
He's
in National Geographic?
Yeah,
Canadian
he's in the
Geographic.
Canadian Geographic this month.
That's very cool. What's he talking
on the
about?
last page, they always have like a famous Canadian.
Famous Canadian.
Well, more or less
Yeah.
famous, depending on the month.
Cool.
Giving memories of a place dear to them in Canada, from their childhood usually, or from ongoing times.
And what did Rick talk about?
Well, I didn't actually read it.
Okay.
No, I did read it at some place in Newfoundland.
One of those Newfoundland places. Okay, yeah. That's great. Good for Rick. Yeah, he's still so busy. We chat a fair bit, and he's pretty busy. Cool. Well, that's good. I'll have to look for Canadian Geographic now. And, maybe I'll just bring it by. I'll take a look at it. And I'll save. How much does Canadian Geographic cost? Is it an expensive magazine?
They have deals on the yearly subscription.
Okay. Do you subscribe though? Is that how
I
you
do.
Oh, you do.
Yes.
Oh wow! And how long have you been subscribing to this?
Well, only a year or two, but before that, my brother always gave it to me for Christmas. So I've been getting it for like 20, 25 years, something like that. Longer than
You care to admit.
So, all those National Geographics on your table?
Canadian Geographics, yes.
All those things that I've been looking at for years when I come to your house, just thinking they were National Geographic because of the look of it.
I don't know.
That's so weird. I know exactly the magazines you're talking about. I come over and I browse them while we're hanging out. But I always thought it was more National Geographic. So weird. It's like National Lampoon. Like, I just feel like them and Mad Magazine are the same thing. It's like, it's not. But it just seems like it's the same. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Whiskey Wednesday Show. It is February 1st, 2023, in the year of 2023.
I'm pretty sure you just said it.
We hope you're all having a good week so far. It is Wednesday. We're going to play some tunes to help you get through the hump night. We've got Chris Broadbeck from C-Spot Run on the show tonight. I got to tell you, the first time I met him was, and if I refer to him as Steve, please ignore that. I made a mistake and called him Steve, and now I keep calling him Steve. Weirdest thing. But there's a story behind that too. But that we won't get to that until the end of the second part of the interview. We got both parts coming on the show tonight, so we're going to play a couple tunes for you. We're going to get right into Chris Broadbeck's C-Spot Run. He's going to talk about the Fountain of Youth, and as well the longevity of the band and how they've stayed together and how they've been so successful. Fascinating story. Great guy, great bunch of guys, and more on that later. But we're going to start right now with a song called Home. Steve was feeling a little under the weather today, so we've got Mr. Neil Lucy and Mr. Ken Grant here in the studio playing tonight. 3 of the goats are here. Steve will be back next week for sure. And Barry is, of course, here from across the street. He's over there pushing all the buttons, turning all the knobs. And this is a song called Home, ladies and gentlemen. The City Harbor lies behind the chain link fence. You can see it from a distance. You can even feel the wind. You can't walk out on that dock and stand beside the sea-torn freighters. Sense those stories of the lies that live within. You can't have the way it was, have to take it as it is. Those times have changed, those days are gone. Those days are past but not forgot. You can't stop the winds of change, forever in your mind self-same. Oh, don't be sad. We were blessed for what we had. Those days are gone, the memories cast in stone, and I know I'm not alone, and it chills me to the bone in this place called home. You can't lose what you don't own. Deepest ties you'll ever know, right here at home. Down Water Street, the storefronts changed a few blocks north. Who'd ever blame to fight against this hurt and change and waiting game? How many words can twist and burn like spark to hay? No further down, no further down this certain old-time road we'll stray. Have to take it as it is. Those times have changed, those days are gone. Those days are past but not forgot. You can't stop the winds of change, forever in your mind self-same. Oh, don't be sad. We were blessed for what we had. Those days are gone, the memories cast in stone, and I know I'm not alone, and it chills me to the bone in this place called home. You can't lose what you don't own. The deepest ties you'll ever know. Hurts so bad to let you go, and I thought that I just came to say hello to this place called home. The city harbor lies behind the chain link fence. You can see it from a distance. You can even feel the wind. Oh, that was fun. That was a song called Home. Nice to see everybody out here. What a nice gang we've got. We got a whole bunch of people here. It's Whiskey Wednesday already. I know it is. Well, I'm on. Oh, I wanted to do a whiskey thank you as well. Hey, Trevor Hand. Of course, 21st birthday wish to my daughter, Alina Hand. Oh my God, Alina Hand. Happy birthday, 21. Man, Trevor, me and you are both so old. My daughters are 22 and 24 right now. Wow. Good evening, Aunt Betty. Lovely to see you. I hope you're doing well there, sweetheart. Hello, Howie Buckley. So yeah, I've had a great day. Last night was fantastic because I sang the last vocal for the album, the last lead vocal, possibly. So right now the beds are completely done. The guitars are finished. The acoustics are done. I have 7 solos that I'm moderately happy with, most of them. And there's still a hidden track that hasn't been recorded yet, but I'm working on that. But like as of last night, when I sort of came downstairs, I said to Allison, the album is officially now done. Like it could be finished now. Like now we're just going to do some fine painting with, little things here and there, 12-string here and there, and maybe a mandolin and some other things. But for the most part, it's done. What an amazing thing. This record took me so long, so much to get through to make this record, and I'm really excited for it. So on Saturday night, me and the boys are going to get together at Mr. Grant's, as we do every time there's a new record, and we always listen to it for the first time together over at Mr. Grant's house. So we'll do that this weekend, and I'm excited to see what they think. But Al Grant, hola from Cartagena, Colombia. I hope you're having a good time down there, sir. Oh my, that's amazing.
Really? He's in Colombia?
That's what he said. He's in Cartagena, Colombia. Yeah. Isn't that? Oh no, because he's always down in Dominican. Oh yeah, so he's over in Cartagena. Well, hey Al, what kind of gifts do you get from Cartagena to bring back here? Limited color selection. Okay.
I guess really probably he's going to bring back a Hena.
Hena.
Yeah, because I mean, that's what you would cart from there, is it not?
Cartagena, true enough, yeah. I hadn't thought about that. I had not thought about that.
I'm sorry I did.
Is that what we call henna? That'd be like a deep red.
No,
Are you talking colors?
that would only be if you're really embarrassed when the guards catch you at the border.
True. This is a song called The Weight of the World, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to do it in this key. That's the key of B.
That be it.
I hope everybody is doing well out there. As I said, it's been a nice week here. It's getting cold. I got a lot of garbage. I didn't get my garbage out last week. We had a snowstorm. And I asked Barry, and Barry said, don't put your garbage out. He said, you can't put it in the driveway because the plows will plow it in, and then you'll have snow on top of garbage, and it'll be a mess. And I said, true enough, I'll put it on the road. He said, you can't put it on the road because the plows can't get to it. I said, well, what am I supposed to do? So now I got a ton of garbage to take out, and well, not a ton, but, more than usual. And I barely get more than usual done. I am a sinner and an addict, and I can't forget all the things I've done to me. I've got many regrets. I am a faker and a loser on the best of days. You all right there, Stan?
Got a little dream, I think.
I can barely keep my head up to stay awake. I've got a story, I wrote it between the lines. If you follow me, I can promise it'll end just fine. 'Cause my back hurts from carrying the weight of the world. My back hurts from carrying the weight of the world. It's getting late, I'm getting lonely, and I'm sinking fast. Just a phone call to say hello will get me past. In the distance, the dogs are barking, it keeps me awake. With the popping of my foot on the floor as I wait for day. As I wait for day. My back hurts from carrying the weight of the world. I need a night in the city with an old-fashioned girl. A little loving and some time to let the colors swirl. 'Cause my back hurts from carrying the weight of the world. I'd say I'm sorry and you treat me with the best of kind. When I'm with you, there's nothing on my mind. Whatever happened to familiar voices? Whatever happened to familiar choices? Whatever happened to what me and you could do? what we get to do. My back hurts from carrying the weight of the world. I need a night in the city with an old-fashioned girl. A little living and some time to let the colors swell. My back hurts from carrying the weight of the world. That one's different every time we do it. That one's like one too many mornings. It's like it just never happens the same. I'm good with that. I'm good with that. Hey, Llewellyn, I'm glad to see you're here, buddy. Watching on YouTube. Excellent. Yeah, I posted that note earlier. I'll post it again. For some of you who might have missed it, see if it's still in my memory here. Yeah, it is. So if you're watching on YouTube, that's the link. And if you're on Facebook and you're wondering sort of where most of the chatty people are, they listen on the Ken Tizzard music page. So that's the link there. But there's the YouTube link too, and all good. What time is it there? I forgot to wear my watch. Quarter after. We're going to play one more song, and then we're going to get to the first part of the C-Spot Run interview. I'm so excited. And Chris, for the start of the second part of the interview, he played an acoustic song, one of my favorite C-Spot Run songs. And I'm sure you'll recognize it. So I'm excited to show you all that as well. But before we do that, we're going to play 1962. This is a song by Ronald Hines. And, oh, God. I think I had to go back to the thumb pick for this. You know, I realized earlier tonight, some of you who watch every week, you know that I've been graduating off my thumb picks and getting exclusively into, a form of hybrid picking, as it's referred to. Because I use these thumb picks for years, and I can't get them in Canada anymore. And to order them online right now, I believe they're $12 US a piece. And I just, I bend the fuck out of them, and I go through them, about one a month. I guess it's cheaper than smoking. Still. Still. But anyways, that's not really the only reason. I've also been doing different types of flat picking, and my technique is changing. But when we played, what was the first song we played tonight? Home. I realized that's another one that I haven't addressed yet without the thumb picks, and I realized that as we started playing it. And that was a bit of an error, so sorry for putting you through all that earlier. Those missed skipped strings. It's the first song I ever played with Ron Hines. Well, I dreamed it was 1962. I dropped a quarter in the jukebox and I played a song for you. I kissed you by the Pinball King. We were listening to Del Shannon sing. I had all his records, he was my favorite then. But that's all gone, it won't come back again. That's all gone, it won't come back again. I woke and I put on my father's shoes. I stood out on the front porch like he used to do. Stepped across the morning sands. The skyline only showed a sign of rain. Mine would be the only footprints that remain. And that's all gone, it won't come back again. That's all gone, it won't come back again. There was something I meant to say. Too many words got in the way. Then I dreamed that it was 1962. I lit a fire on the beach and I lay in the sand with you. We'd sing songs until the rains would come. Straight across the fields we would run. You wrapped your sweater around my first guitar. I walked you home. That's all gone, it won't come back again. That's all gone, it won't come back again. There was something I meant to say. Too many words got in the way. Then I dreamed that it was 1962. I dropped a quarter in the jukebox and I played a song for you. I kissed you by the pinball king. We were listening to Del Shannon sing. I had all his records, he was my favorite thing. Well, him and Brian Wilson, that's all gone. It won't come back again. That's all gone, it won't come back again. Hey, 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 hey. 1962 by Ronald Hines, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, that's so much fun. Oh, well, thank you there, Roger. Finger picking good. 3 classics to open the show, as always. And I wanted to thank Joe once again. It was Joe Murray who sent us this bottle of Kinsip. I'm in the wrong camera, am I? Yeah. Okay, this one I got it, Perry. Oh, no, we got it there now. Okay. Kinsip maple whiskey that he sent me there last week, and we had some of that last week, and we're having it again this week. And how is it? I'm going to try it again this week. Last week I just drank it really fast because it was good. I'm going to see how it is this week.
It's yummy.
Yeah, it tastes pretty good to me, although, I may have to try it again just to make sure.
Might have to check again. Yeah. No, but you know something? It is. And the good thing about this, it's not a whiskey maple liqueur. It's an actual whiskey, 40% with maple flavoring. It's actually fucking delicious. Thank you again, Joe, for sending that along. And we appreciate that. You better test it again, Emily says. Make sure it's not poison. I like the way your mind works. Okay, Chris Broadbeck. So this guy, I'm like, okay, I'm in grade, I got to think this out now. I'm in grade 8 or grade 9, somewhere between grade 8 and 9 maybe. I'm babysitting for Jerry Cashin. Jerry Cashin had just moved into number 12 Hunt Place. So we were number 8. It was 2 houses away. And Jerry was like a 30-something-year-old single mom with 2 kids. And she needed a babysitter. And my dad was like, get a fucking job, you bum. I was just like playing music. And I wasn't even playing music. I was listening to music and being a shithead. And Mom sort of put it together. Oh, she needs a babysitter next time. I'm like, I can't babysit. And they were young kids, too. And Jerry was a nurse. So I started babysitting, and it was fine. And after a couple of babysitting episodes, she said, what are you saving your money for? And I said, I want to get a guitar, because I wanted to be a musician. I wanted to be a guitar player. And she said, oh, my ex, who I left to come down here, I believe it was, I bought him a guitar for his birthday, and I've got it with me, and we've split up or something along those lines. So she said, do you want to babysit to pay off this guitar? And I said, sure. That sounds excellent. And it was an electric guitar. I knew electric guitars. You plugged them into things, and they made noise. So we have this electric guitar that I bring home, and I think it was my cousin Mike that I managed to get an old, like a really falling apart amp from, but like probably something beautiful, but I can't remember what it was. And, I got it in the basement, I plugged it in, and it made all kinds of noise. It was a fucking blast. And I was playing it. We had records back then. There was no internet. And there was no, I went to school, but I wasn't paying attention to anything. There was really nothing that taught me anything. I was just like an empty vessel still at fucking 12 or 13 years old, just floating through the world, just eating and just doing things that I wanted. But I wanted to be a guitar player. So I had this thing, and I was making noise with it, and I had a record player. And I remember I had like an Iron Maiden record and a Judas Priest record and something else. And I was listening to this, I'm pretty sure it was a Judas Priest song. It might have been Iron Maiden. and this was like a Sunday morning, and I'm sitting on the side of the bed with my bass. My parents are out at the cabin. Me and my sister have been left home alone. That was the start of a really bad 5 years for my parents, leaving me and my sister alone almost every weekend with her to watch me. Yeah, that was the mistake. Anyways, I turn around, and my sister's there with this sort of rock and roll looking dude. And she says, Ken, this is my friend Chris. Chris plays with a band. He's from a band from Montreal called C Spot Run. And I'm like, totally cool, you know. And he's like, what are you doing? I said, I'm trying to learn this guitar solo. He's like, oh, he said, that's a bass you're playing. And I was just like, it's a guitar. He has a bass guitar. It's got 4 strings. I play bass. And I'm like, what are you doing? It's not, it's a guitar. I sort of, and then he showed me, and it just immediately went sense. I'm like, oh, right, yeah, it's an electric guitar, but it's only got the 4 strings, so it plays the low stuff. Like, I was really that sort of naive, but I was making noise with this thing and having fun with it. And then I found a book in an old bookstore about it was actually a book called How to Tune a Bass Guitar. It was an entire, like a pamphlet. It was a book. It was like this long and really thin, like a card you'd see in a store, and it was like 8 pages or something. And it was all that method of, 5 open, and harmonics and all these different ways to tune a bass. But anyways, I was so stupid. But Chris Broadbeck was the one who, however the story played out, it's been a long time. It wasn't until I met Chris that I understood what a bass guitar was. And to this day, me and Chris are still friends. And he is the singer and bass player for C Spot Run, who've been playing around Canada for a good long time. I had a chance to sit down and talk to Chris earlier this week, and it was fantastic. So I'm going to unmute the TV so we can watch it here as well. And here, check out a little bit of C Spot Run and Chris Broadbeck, ladies and gentlemen.
Space. Maybe I don't know what's good for me. I never thought a girl like you could ever change my ways.
There you go. Look at you.
Look at me. Got it. Leaving
Look
meeting.
at you.
Got it.
You were saying you were so much more beautiful yesterday when we had originally scheduled, but how is that possible?
I was more beautiful yesterday.
You look fantastic.
You get second best today.
The second best is pretty damn good when it comes to Chris Broadbeck.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight on the show we have a very old friend of mine, and the guy who I totally credit for my understanding of what the bass guitar is and how it's used, and I'll get to that story a little later. We have Mr. Chris Broadbeck from C Spot Run, one of Canada's longest standing bands, I believe, at this point. But let's get into it right away with Chris. You're looking great today, Chris, as we've already established. What are you resisting?
I am resisting negativity.
Very good.
Doing things I don't want to do. I'm resisting the morning.
Yeah, I've been resisting mornings for a long time.
Here we are.
Here we are.
How
are you, man?
Happily resisting.
Excellent.
Yeah.
What's going on in the world of Chris right now?
Chris is at home like everybody else. Working at home, but I've always worked at home, so it's not unusual for me.
Mm-hmm.
Pandemic, there was a lot of people in my house, in my office.
Yeah.
But I'm doing pretty good now. Like most of the time, I got the house to myself, so I can do what I got to do. Be creative. Try to be creative, anyway.
Try to be creative, which you've been doing, Chris. Like, I think C Spot Run is in its 63rd year of existence, and you're 109 now, right?
Yeah, pretty close.
I have the facts right.
I've known you since you were, I don't know.
I think it was, I was in grade 9, so that would have been 14.
Yeah.
It's been a long time.
You were a nice kid. You're still a nice kid.
Yeah, right. So you're at home in Toronto working with your wife and family. As I mentioned, C Spot Run are one of, I mean, how many years have you been doing it now?
I've lost track, seriously.
Yeah, it's been a
Yeah.
long time. Like most bands, they get together, they go for the record deal, they play some shows, they get frustrated. Maybe they get signed, maybe they get an album out, and one of them who wrote the songs makes all the money and the rest of the band gets pissed off and they break up after a couple of years. We've heard that story a million times. But the story that fascinates me is, as a young guy from Montreal, you and one of your oldest friends started a band. And in the 80s, when I met you, you were still doing like the 4 night a week cover A circuit, where you'd come to a town like St. John's, Newfoundland, they'd put you up and you'd do like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. They'd pay you a bunch of money, then you'd go to Halifax the next night. And you guys were doing an amazing job with 80s covers while slowly slipping in your original stuff. Whereas a lot of bands are either a cover band or an original band. And you've maintained that for so long. What's the secret to doing that?
Well, from the get-go, when we put the band together, Randy and I and my brother and Paul Moore, who's in Halifax now, the idea from the very start was to write our own material and make a record. We didn't really know what we were doing, but the main thing was that we were writing material, rehearsing the material, recording the material with, little 4 tracks and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And then playing them. So the very first show we ever did, we had 4 originals right off the bat. And every gig that we did, we tried to put in as many as we could without sort of getting the audience bored or the venue owner getting mad at us or whatever. And as we played these venues more often, we got away with playing more because people started getting used to our own songs. So they were happy to hear them. So we could play a little more as the years went by. And then all those years, all that working and all that playing, we actually made pretty good money. Mm-hmm. And we put the money aside to record. It was all, we put a portion of our money, and it always went into a recording project. So we were an indie band. We were an indie band long before there were indie bands at all. They talk a lot about the Bare Naked Ladies, being one of the first indie bands in Canada, but they just got famous faster.
They were the first indie band to get famous. Yeah.
Yeah, they were there. Yeah. And we were doing that since the beginning. And, we just always used our money to go in. And then eventually we got hooked up with Gary Moffat from April Wine and Bill Shaflosky, who did all the Frank Marino albums. And they lent their vast experience to us to learn how to make records and produce us. And so we learned a lot of stuff from those guys, and we had the money to finance it. And we just kept doing that. And then eventually we had enough material to put our first EP out, which was a cassette, which is retro cool today.
Yeah.
And I think I still have a couple. And it just went from there until we signed our first record deal and had a lot more money to really do it upright. Yeah. And put out our first album in 97, and then the follow-up in 99, and then all that stuff you said at the beginning went for a shit. As it does. Yeah. And we ended up going sliding backwards a little bit, but we just became the indie band that we were from the start, and continued to funnel money into recording and making our own CDs, making our own albums. So we made a few more albums after that, and here we are. Still,
and you weren't alone in that time when the record companies kind of dried up. I mean, every band that I know went back to being an official indie band when, especially in Canada, once the labels started closing their doors, Canada shut down pretty quick. and everybody had to raise their own money and, make your own records, produce your own records, hire your own publicists, hire your own radio tracker, like essentially paying for everything that the record companies used to do.
That's right.
And did you find that model works at all, or has the COVID thing just messed it all up too much that you can't really judge?
Yeah, I think the pandemic really kicked us in the shorts, and we're just crawling out of our hole right now, trying to figure out, we got to get back into the black, get back into the creative mode. A lot of people said to me, "Hey, oh man, you must have written like a double live album during the pandemic." And I'm like, "Oh man, you don't know. Like it was so hard, like with family and stuff like that, and all that goes along with a family and a home. We just had to keep the boat afloat, Yeah. And as you know, as a creative person like yourself knows that you need absolute minimum 4 or 5 hours of uninterrupted flow to get stuff going.
Yep.
And certainly I do anyway. And like, you can't like go 10 minutes and then all of a sudden you got to do something else. 10 minutes, you got to do something else. It's always interrupted. And I never had a chance to really get fully into writing a catalog of any sort. So I just collected ideas. I've got Logic Pro. I record with Logic Pro. I have a little project studio in my basement. I got all the gear I need to get going. And I just did half an hour here, half an hour there of bits and pieces. So now I got a big old trunk load of bits and pieces to go through.
I hear you so clearly. I had the pandemic combined with Allison getting sick, and there was a period of about 2.5 years where I was writing material that was really just sickening therapy, not anything I'd ever want to release, just waiting. And I'd keep getting all these little pieces like, that's something there, and I'd put it aside while all this other shit came out. And right now I have a big pile of pieces.
Yeah.
That's a daunting thing to go to as well, because each one of those pieces came from, like you say, a bunch of hours of getting into a creative space to get this little gem of a nugget, and then you put it away, and then a couple of years later you go back and it's like, oh, what was the magic here? And it's really hard to capture that sometimes. So I feel your pain.
Yeah, it's tricky.
Yeah.
I just an interesting thing just happened to me a couple of weeks ago. I was digging through some old boxes, trying to purge my garbage in this house. And I came across a tape that was full of demos that I did, on some Fostex 4-track on the road somewhere. And one of the songs was Weightless. The original demo, which I'd been looking for years. I couldn't figure out where it ended up, but I found it. It was really fun. But I found other songs in there that I had no recollection of whatsoever. And I listened to them, and I had to go out and actually buy a cassette deck because I didn't own a cassette deck. So I had to go out and buy myself a cassette deck so that I could play this and dump it down to Logic and digitize it and listen to it. And I found a song on there. I was like, this is pretty good. So I'm going to use this as my jumping board. I'm going to go and see if I can fix it up and maybe try to record it and see what it sounds like. And from there, I'm sure I'll get rolled into other material, which is what happens.
Isn't it amazing how much stuff we create that we actually forget? Sammy has been the band archivist for years, and we put out In the Trees a couple of years ago, the 25th anniversary, and we're coming up on the 25th anniversary of another one, and Sammy's been sending some old demos and stuff to us. And there's every now and again I'll get an MP3 and I listen to it, and I'm halfway through the song and I'm like, I've never ever heard this in my life. I don't recognize it. I don't recognize the bass line. I have no memory of this. Even after a couple listens, sometimes I'm like, I don't remember this song at all.
Yeah.
It's a very strange thing. Sometimes you find a gem, other times you see lots of work in progress, but cool to find the first demo of Weightless, though. That's awesome.
Yeah. Maybe I'll have it mastered and released.
That would be cool. Maybe you can put it onto a picture of a monkey and release it as an NFT and become a millionaire.
Oh my God. If
That's
only
the way
I
to go. That's the way to go.
that
Yeah,
be.
do an NFT of Weightless and sell 1,000 copies of it for ridiculous amounts of money.
There you go.
Set for life.
Yeah,
um,
he's been a great supporter and a fan and a friend, and you've always helped us along the way. And people should know that because I was
well,
thinking about you the last couple of days, and you know, since I've known you, and when you moved to Toronto and you were getting involved with Access Magazine and Keith Sharp and all those guys, and all the stuff you did along the way, you know, with bringing us on tour with the Watchmen was just a fantastic fun. You guys were an awesome band, and I've been a fan of all these years. And yeah, people should know that. People should know that you've always been a great fan and supporter of our band and helped us a lot. We really appreciate it.
well, you were the first professional cover band that I saw when back in the 80s, when you came to St. John's and I met you through my sister. And you were doing, versions of the Police and U2 and I think probably Simple Minds and all that stuff. And you guys were knocking it out of the park. You've got that voice that covers from Bono to Sting through to everything else, which I still don't know how you do that. And also let's not forget, I mean, when I bought my first bass, I bought it from my neighbor who I was babysitting for, and I was babysitting for her all summer to pay it off. And I was sitting at home playing that thing, trying to learn a guitar solo on it or something, when you stepped by my bedroom door with my sister and you went, "What are you doing?" And you then told me what a bass guitar was. I didn't realize that I didn't have a bass guitar. I thought it was a guitar. I didn't know there was any difference. There was no internet. I was 13 years old in Newfoundland with, limited resources. And you turned me on to some of my first bass players, and you showed me what the instrument was. And, for years in my mind as a child in Newfoundland, I mean, you were the bass player. It was like, Chris is the guy. Chris is the guy. He knows everything. And then when I came to Toronto and, C Spot Run were still doing their thing. And I think Music Express was doing a sampler or something, and we got you on that. And we reconnected from there, and then along with the Watchmen and stuff. And in recent years, I've come out and opened up for you guys a few times doing the solo acoustic thing. Yeah. I just love what you guys do. I wish I could see you more. I love the vibe of it. It's really interesting to me too, how you guys managed as a independent band to last this long and fund yourselves. But I love the creation of the Orange Man group and how that became sort of, C Spot Run were, a cover band with some originals. Then C Spot Run became a cover band with originals. Then you started putting out records. You had, Weightless, Terrified, and a bunch of other songs on the radio. And all of a sudden you were a radio band and people were coming to see C Spot Run. And then you still had this vast wealth of covers. So this thing called Orange Man Group came out. Do you want to explain that a little bit? Because that's a really cool thing.
Yeah, so C Spot Run became, an all original. Like we started like the Beatles, playing their covers, and the Stones played their covers, and then they started records, and then they became a recording act. We became a recording artists, and from there we just wanted to keep it that way. And we had signed a deal with a label in Quebec that unfortunately went south, and we got into some legal troubles trying to wiggle out of that. And in the meantime, we were like, well, why don't we just go out and just play? Because we're players and we're performers. We're not really the type of guys that wanted to go get a day job or whatever, work at Tim Hortons or whatever, HMV selling CDs. We wanted to play. We wanted to continue to play. We're players. We love playing. It's the reason we got into it in the first place. And we said, well, we can't go to C Spot Run because we have a brand and we had established ourselves as recording artists, and we wanted to keep that and protect that. And so we said, well, why don't we go out and just start another band, and we'll just do all those 80s covers that we love doing, right? And so we're like, oh wait, but we can't look like us, so we got to look like somebody else. So we kind of took the approach the superheroes in Marvel do. And we just sort of disguised ourselves in a superhero disguise and created Orange Man and went out and played all those fun 80s covers that we used to do. Now, we only did that because we wanted to do that and we wanted to keep playing. But what we discovered was there's a whole market and a whole age group of people who spent their entire late teens and early 20s going to bars listening to 80s music.
Yep.
And those people are now, they have, their children are older, and they have disposable income. They don't need babysitters. And it's like, hey, I heard there's this band that plays all those songs that we used to go out and get drunk and smoke to. And slowly this whole thing started to come about. And like I said, we didn't plan it this way. We weren't that smart, but it really a bunch of people. And we started doing very well with that. And so this is great. We're starting to make some money. So let's take some of that money and then we can record C-Spot Run albums.
It's
so
a genius. It's a genius logic.
Cover DIY financial plan to make records, so that way we could continue to play music and keep our jobs and actually get better. We learned how to play better and sing better and all that, and we could switch from one band to the next like no problem. As we even talked about having having C-Spot Run open for Orange Man as a lark. Haven't done it yet, but maybe we should.
That was going to be my next question. Do you ever do a night where there's C-Spot Run and Orange Man on the same bill?
That would be really, that would work. Because at first nobody, because of the age group we were playing to, nobody really knew who we were, as far as C-Spot Run fans went. And as time went on, we got busted. People would be like, hey, wait a minute. I know you. I've seen you before. They start yelling, play Weightless.
Yeah.
And then we'd say, talking about, what are you talking about?
Which is okay now because it's a top 40 cover, so you can cover your own song.
It might be classic rock now. Yes. So there you go. That's the story.
That's always amazed me. I've struggled with that myself too, because I do a bunch of folk stuff and then I do the country stuff, and then there's a bunch of covers, and I kind of want to have two separate bands, one that can just go out and do just covers all night where I can just kind of have fun, because I love doing that. Sure. And the other one, which is the more sort of what do you call it, the more delicate original pursuit, because that always comes with the brain, which shoots you in the foot most of the times. So it's nice to have that. It must be a great thing to be able to have both of those things operating and have one funding the other. That's
yeah. Well, there's always been a problem with original bands trying to, unless you're that 3 or 4% of those bands that can go out and make a whole heap of cash. Most of the bands that were recording along the way with us, they can't go out and make all tons of money.
No.
And so they're cash strapped, and then they fall into maybe having to get a day job or having to find money or whatever, and then it kind of wears. Whereas we were able to continue playing and then make enough money that we could take a portion of it to put aside for recording. And so we just did that.
I think that's a problem that so many young bands have, or so many, not just young bands, but a lot of bands have, like the Watchmen too. We made a lot of money, but it all went back into the machine. It all went back into, maintaining what we were doing. Yeah. So many artists, they go out and, they make $500 a night, and everybody takes $75 and goes and buys, a couple beers at the end of the night or whatever. And they do, 20 shows a year, and then it comes time to record and they don't have any money to record.
Yeah.
That $75 that you make at the gig isn't really helping you. But if you put that aside, that's suddenly you've got, a couple $1,000 sitting in an account, and you can do something with it. A lot of musicians don't understand that, it's not all about just making money. I guess it's the difference of building a career and just doing music as a hobby. The hobbyists have jobs, so they don't really care. But I think that your story with C-Spot Run and the Orange Man Group is just fascinating. And I do kind of think that's That's such a winning strategy, and only you guys could do it. You know, you guys lived through the '80s playing those covers, and to bring them back now authentically to the more mature audience, that's got to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, yeah, it was a little bit of a happy accident,
Yeah,
which came out of just wanting to continue to play and to play music we wanted to play. So and we have so much fun with it because when people come up to you, oh, can you play Sweet Caroline? No, I'm sorry, we don't play that one. How about the hip? You guys do any hip? No, we don't do any hip. Why don't you do any hip? Well, because they don't do us. So I'm not gonna do them. We just play with them, and they just laugh.
Mhm.
Laugh along with the comedy and the gimmick of the whole thing. They don't get insulted. They just think it's a lot of fun, and they run with it.
Fantastic.
And we literally fell into it because we just wanted to play. We wanted to hide, and we wanted to play what we wanted to play.
Yeah, I do a thing where I go down to the Legion on Sundays. They have their jam, and I actually pull my chair over to the side off the stage, and I plug in with whoever's up, and I just sit there playing. I love playing with people, but I
Yeah,
don't like. I don't. They're like, "Well, get on the stage and take." I'm like, "No, I just want to sit here in the corner and play." It's a
yeah,
different thing, Just loving playing music as opposed to doing it, for a reason, which we've all done as well.
that's
Uh,
it. Exactly. Yeah,
I think that's probably a big part of the key of why you guys have been able to do it for so long. You really enjoy what you're doing, you love what you're doing, and you've had the good fortune to have a combination of an independent career plus a cover band career, and the radio success you guys have had too. It's pretty awesome. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my goodness, how much fun is it talking to Chris? We're gonna plow through a couple tunes, then we're gonna be back with Chris for the tail end of the interview, and he's also gonna play an acoustic song for us. And Rayanne, you'll be happy with the acoustic choice. Time for another round of whiskey. Oh well, we're still doing good here on the whiskeys. I think I am. How are you guys doing? That's Joe. As Joe asking if we want more whiskey. Who wants more whiskey? It's probably time for another round, eh?
No, that's all right. I'm good.
Oh, okay. I got some left in my glass.
Thank you.
We still got a plate full of food and some more stuff to eat after. Shay Bailey asks, Ken, would you please tell the story about your and Chris bass sound? I'm not sure. I mean, Chris and I have used a lot of similar basses, but it was funny because I at one point in time I met Rob Higgins, who played with Danny and Doctor. But before that, I think he played with Change of Heart. I can't remember. Rob's a great guy, but he happens to be Geddy Lee's, what do you call, nephew? Is that a son, one sister over or something? Is that a nephew? Or a brother over?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So he's Geddy Lee's nephew. So I was talking to him, and he's a bass player too, like me. And he met Danny because when we had Caitlin, I had to take 2 weeks off to come home from our U.S. tour. So I hired Rob Higgins to fill in for me down in the States. And it was funny because the guys didn't know him, and I'd seen Rob playing with a bunch of bands, and I was a big fan of his. And I remember I had to borrow somebody's Super 8 recorder in the hotel room, and I sat down and I put on our CDs, and I played through all the CDs, showing them like close-ups of my hands and my fingers and what I was doing on the bass lines. I did that weeks before, and he learned them all. And he showed up. He showed up in the States and played at the first show with the Watchmen that night, like not even a rehearsal. So he filled the gap for me there, which was fantastic. But anyways, I asked him once, I said, man, Geddy Lee's like your uncle. I said, like, what's with the tone? And he said, that's just not a question you ask him. He said, he won't give you that information. I'm like, what do you mean? He said, I don't know. He said, it's just one of those things. It's just tone comes from, I don't know where it comes from, but I mean, the key to success for most recorded bass tones is an Ampeg SVT. That is the sound that most people want. There are amps that emulate it, and some amps that sound different. Some would say better. I used the Trainer 810 myself. I used Ampegs for years, and I switched to Peavey. Then I went to the Trainer, but the 810 has been consistent. The 810 sound is a big part of that monstrous rock and roll sound, especially with a 300 or 400 watt tube head. 300 watts is kind of ideal. Then you throw a P bass or a jazz bass, or in my case a PJ bass on it, and from there it's really just where you put your right hand for the fingers, and that's where the rest of it comes out. And Chris has been playing long enough to know those things. I learned it from people like Chris. That's the secret to tone that you can't And I can't say it's, cut the mids at this and boost the trebles. I can tell you that, and it'll sound similar, but the key to the tone is really in, your pickup choice and where you've got your right hand. People like Chris, they know that, and I've been lucky enough to work with some people who've guided me into getting a really good tone. Like the stuff I've done with the Watchmen over the years. Thornley was different. That was all Music Man through an 810 for the most part. Different type of sound. That was the type of production we were going for. It was something a little bit more gritty. You get that clackety attack on the Music Man. But all those things said, I don't know, Chris has an amazing tone. He's now using an Ashdown amp. We talk about that in the next part, so we'll get to that soon enough. Okay, Barry's doing video and sound. Okay, we're going to move on here, folks. Nose Noborn's on. It's a great show, great interview. Thank you very much. It's nice to see some new people tuning in. We appreciate that. We're going to play a song now called On Your Mind. Wrote this one a long time ago after listening to too much Hank Williams and drinking too much whiskey at the same time. When you're drunk and you got no place to go, and you don't want the sleep to bring tomorrow, reach out and call. It won't hurt me at all to know that sometimes you find me on your mind. When you've had enough and you're feeling all alone, just you and the echoes in your home, reach out and call. Well, it won't hurt me at all to know that sometimes you find me on your mind. Help me out, boys. Many miles apart, trying to make a brand new start. It's not been easy, but I'm still doing fine. I'm thinking about you and I'm still on your mind. When you're lonely, feeling restless late at night, and you find you just keep doing what ain't right, reach out and call. It won't hurt me at all to know that sometimes you find me on your mind. Trying to make a brand new start. It's not been easy, but I'm still doing fine. I'm thinking about you and I'm still on your mind. Oh, I'm so excited to watch the rest of the Chris interview. It'll be fun. Mr. Grant, how's your week been?
It's been just fine, yeah.
What'd you get up to?
Rather low key.
Did you get out of the house at all?
I went down to the brewery and got another batch of brew from the Celtic Brewers.
Oh, right on. The old rusty scrotum or whatever it's called?
This is the Woolly Mammoth.
The Woolly Mammoth.
Even better.
Woolly sheep, actually.
There you go.
Call it Woolly Bully.
The Woolly Bully? Woolly Woolly.
That'd make a good name
Woolly
for a
Bully,
song,
no.
yeah.
Ooh,
My
Woolly Bully.
covers came from a different
Ooh,
era
Woolly
than
Bully.
the 80s.
And Neil, how are you tonight?
I'm well, thank you.
Excellent. How have you been? You all anti-COVID-y now?
I am, apparently. Yes.
Last week you were a little COVID-y.
Well, it was a little COVID-y, but not too COVID-y. So,
Good.
Yeah, I'm back and hale and healthy and all that sort of stuff.
That's fantastic.
Back swimming.
There you go.
Yeah.
When you're... And every now and then you come to mind, and it makes me search for something I can't find, and then it disappears. The pain in all those years, I know that sometimes you find me on your mind. Many miles apart, trying to make a brand new start. It's not been easy, but I'm still doing fine. I'm thinking about you and I'm still on your mind. I'm thinking about you and I'm still on your mind. I'm thinking about you and I'm still on your mind. Good night, Roger. Take care, buddy. Hello, Aaron. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. On Your Mind. That's an old tune. Oh, speaking of old, here's a song called Old Dog. This is a new tune on the new album that's finally finished the majority of the recording. Send this one out to Teddy Rowe if he's listening. He always requests this one if he's around. Seems like every meal he's ever eaten has come at the cost of a song. Not to say he ain't been hungry for those times you sang along. And his house is made from many doors. The address changes day by day. Been rambling around this world, killing time along the way. It's a long way to travel and $1 for a song. Another town behind and another comes along. His boots are feeling heavy standing on another stage. Fire in his bloodshot eyes again today. And for every girl he's ever loved whose kindness helped him find his way through fumbling, tumbling, rumbling nights to bring colors to the gray. Another lonesome sunrise just ahead. His clothes are scattered on the bed and he's crawling on the floor. And he's heading for the door. It's a long way to travel and $1 for a song. Another town behind and another comes along. His boots are feeling heavy standing on another stage. Fire in his bloodshot eyes again today. Oh, you won't break him from this road. So much story still untold. Doesn't matter what you say, he's been doing it all his days. He's an old dog and you'll never change his ways. When he dies out on that highway and you check to find him cold, just pull the old truck over, roll him off beside the road. For his life's been filled with many riches found upon this stage. When he gets his call to glory and he knows his dues are paid, it's a long way to heaven and $1 for a song. Another town behind and another comes along. His boots are feeling heavy standing on another stage. Fire in his bloodshot eyes again today. Oh, you won't break him from this road. So much story still untold. Doesn't matter what you say, he's been doing it all his days. He's an old dog and you won't break him from this road. So much story still untold. Doesn't matter what you say, he's been doing it all his days. He's an old dog and you'll never change his ways. Closer on that last note. Close. Oh my. Still learning how to play this thing, ladies and gentlemen. Be gentle on me. Nice to see some new folks here. What a great night. This has been a really, really fun evening. We're going to do one more song and then we're going to get back to Chris. Chris is going to do a song. And we're going to come back at the end and give you one song to let you all out. Whoever's still here, I know it's getting late. But sometimes that happens. We're going to do a little King is Gone, eh? We do a little fiddle tune going in and out, don't we, Mr. Graham?
I think we might.
I think we do Cherokee, isn't it? Cherokee fiddle.
Sure. We're sending this one out to the little Elvis standing behind you there.
Yes, this is
Your
the
Elvis decanter.
This is my Elvis decanter here, for those of you who can't see. This is actually, you can't really hear it. It's a glass decanter in the shape of Elvis, and it's full of whiskey. There's still some whiskey in it, but it was bought from the internet by Kim and Charmaine, my neighbors next door, who, after hearing this song, went on the internet and bought me this crazy thing along with, where are they gone? Oh, I hate change, but it looks great, but I don't know where they are. Oh, they're up here. Some Fred Flintstone glasses. So we've got some Flintstone glasses and a little decanter of Elvis whiskey. You'll understand in just a moment. Oh, let's
Poor
do this one.
George. That's about all he had left.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You guys ready?
Hold up a piece of floor.
Oh, definitely.
1, 2, 3. Okay, hold on. Doing Cherokee in what key are we in here? Play 2, 3. What key are you in?
The one I usually play in, which would be actually an A.
1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so that was all me, right? That was all me, because I started on the A string because I thought I was right, because I'm never wrong. I thought I was wrong once before. I've only been wrong once, but it turns out that I had actually been right. So my incorrectness was based on
I understand.
1, 2, 3. Last night I broke the seal on a Jim Beam decanter that looked like Elvis. Soaked the label off a Flintstone jelly bean jar. I cleared us off a place on that one little table that you left me. I pulled me up a big old piece of floor. I pulled the head off Elvis, filled Fred up to his pelvis. Yabba dabba doo, the king is gone, and so are you. Round about 10 we all got to talking. About bedrock, Graceland and such. The conversation finally turned to women. They said they didn't get around that much. And Elvis said, find them young. And Fred said, well, old-fashioned girls are fun. Yabba dabba doo, the king is gone, and so are you. Later on, it finally hit me. That you wouldn't be coming back no more. 'Cause this time I know you wouldn't forgive me. Like all of them other times before. When I broke Elvis's nose, pouring the last drops from his toes. Yabba dabba do, the king is gone, and so are you. Yabba dabba do, the king is gone, and so are you. Yabba dabba do, the king is gone, and so are you. Oh, little George Jones on a Wednesday night is always good for the soul. Always good for the soul. Thank you again for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. We really do appreciate it. We're going to get to part 2 of Chris's interview right now. Well, Joe brings something up here. He says, oh, when they're ready, I want one of those albums. Just saying, put one aside. Okay, but now, is anybody buying CDs or vinyl? What's people doing? I need to know. Vinyl is going to cost, vinyl's taking about 6 months minimum right now, and it's costing about $12 to $14 an album for the artist. You add $26 shipping on that, you're into $40 before I've seen a penny. Will you order a vinyl online and pay $55 for it so that, some money can go back to the artist? Even getting it to record shops is expensive. You got to send them out. All that fee's got to be built in. You can buy them at shows. That's cool too. CDs are easy. CDs are great. They're about $3 to ship. And a CD costs about $1 to make, which is fantastic. $1.50 with artwork and shit. Much better sort of bang for the buck for the artist. But then again, they've stopped making CD players. So that media is kind of invalid. So I'm not sure what we're left with. We're left with Spotify and Apple Music. So that's just fantastic. Because that... Well, they haven't put a CD player in a car since 2018. And
That's not true.
No, that's...
My VW's a 19. It's got, mind you, it's hidden in the glove compartment.
Yeah,
So
well,
they
okay.
don't really want you to know it's
Okay,
there.
okay, so Volkswagen is still doing it illegally. They're hiding them in the glove
There we
compartment.
go. That's what it is, yes. Indeed.
Anyways, and I see some chat here about sort of guitar, where things go. Yeah, I know. Rod just got back. He said, I buy hard copy and I buy vinyl. I do the same. I pay the $30 for the vinyl. I pay the $30 for the shipping. And I love them when they arrive. They feel so good. And because I've spent so much money, I'm going to fucking like that record too. Like if I put it on the first time, I'm kind of like, nah. I'm going to listen to it 10 more times because I'm going to get the value out of it. And then by the 10th listen, I usually like it.
Oh,
So, there's something to be said for the tactile nature of holding something that you gave cash for.
I see.
Anyways.
I didn't know it worked that way.
What's that?
I thought you kind of bought them because you liked them.
I do love them. Oh, no, some that I bought online. I should say some artists that I'm trying to support that I'm
Oh, I
not
see.
sure
Shot
of.
in the dark, so to
Yeah. No, I mean, I go to the record stores and I buy what I want. Yeah. No, but some of the stuff I buy online is usually people that I'm supporting. But anyways, it's time for part 2 of Chris Broadbeck. Barry, you ready over there? I'm going to point the finger at the camera.
Yep.
And here's part 2. Enjoy.
Hey Ken, hey everybody. I'm gonna play Terrified. Wake up my girl, I've got something to say to you. I've been knocked down and I don't know what's left to do. I won't live my life like I've lived my life before. I need to spread my wings
terrified. Woke up this morning with my hands across my heart. It's been this way since I decided we should part. It's not that easy as I thought to let you know. I never thought that I could ever let you go. Terrified. Terrified. Wake up, my girl, I've got something that I must say before I shed my skin and throw it all away. I'm looking forward to tomorrow, not for yesterday. Terrified. Terrified. Ooh, terrified. Ooh, terrified. Thank you. Thanks, Ken.
Yeah. We
So in
had, we,
2000, it was 2016. Was that the last album you guys put out officially?
that was, yeah.
And how was that experience? You covered "Burning Down the House" on that one, right?
Yeah.
So was that your first time covering one of the '80s classics?
That's the first time we ever covered a song ever, like as far as C-Spot Run recording. And we played that one on Orange Man, always did well, loved playing it, sort of developed a little bit of our own way of doing it. And we're still thinking along the lines of getting some radio airplay, because we had a success in that venue. Still had a lot of connections in that venue, and so we thought, when we did this album, the plan was to try to get that going and try to use some of the resources that we had. So, and then we thought, well, if we record "Burning Down the House," it might be a little bit more easy to digest for some of the reasons, because then it can play something that people would recognize rather than a brand new song. So we thought that's what our first thing was, and that didn't work because they just played the original "Burning Down the House." But we loved the song, and we had a great time recording it, and the fans liked it, so that was good, And we had a little bit of success with getting some airplay on another song on the album. The name escapes me, but we had a little bit, so that was good. And we sold albums at the gigs and whatnot, and the old school sort of way,
Yeah.
And took all the money.
Yeah. It's good. It's good to be able to take all the money sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah, I had a similar thing when I did the Ron Hines album. I did the tribute to Ron a few years back, and I remember going to Sirius FM, whoever the MD in Montreal was. I sent him an email and, introduced him, sent him the record, and he got it back to me. And all I got back is, why would I play you when I can play Ron Hines?
Ouch.
And I just went, yeah, I guess he's got a point.
Yeah.
You're always going to face that, I guess, when you're covering somebody else's material.
American Woman, then they'll play his version.
Well, yeah, if an American band covers a Canadian band, then it'll get played. That's it. That's a whole other thing.
That's a whole other thing.
I've stopped trying to compare Canada and the States. I mean, I've lived my life trying to balance those two, and it's, you you make tons of money in Canada and you just go spend it in the States paying for hotel rooms while you're trying to get somebody to listen to you. And, you know, you show up in a town and you call your record person in that town and say, there's no posters at the show. And they say, who are you? And you say, well, we're with this band. And they go, I don't know that band. I'm like,
Yeah.
You're our A&R person. They're like, I've never heard of you.
I know.
That type of stuff kills me when you go across the border.
Yeah. If you don't have someone to champion you on someone in the States or wherever, it's very difficult.
Yeah. Well, they've all got, you know, somebody explained it to me once, you know, the American A&R person has 10 CDs that they have signed the checks on their desk. And if these 10 CDs don't succeed, it's their personal responsibility. And then they have 30 CDs over here from Canadian artists that they have nothing vested in. Where are they going to put their time? I mean, it's really simple, you know, when you think about it like that.
Yeah, it's very and yeah.
So what's the plan now? What's the upcoming plan? The COVID things have lifted. Some people are back out. Some people aren't. Where do you and where do C-Spot Run stand with getting back into gear?
Just crawling out of the hole, really. We don't have any money, so we have to get back in the black with the orange. Orange and that. Yeah, we have to literally crawl out of the hole and get back on pace. We got, just like anybody who's got a business out there, you got to get back. You know, it's going to take time to get back writing, recording, get some money, working, playing, getting gigs. We just did a show in December. That was our second show back since the pandemic for C-Spot Run. And you know, it's great that the fans want to come out and see the band and everything. It's awesome. But to move forward, it's gonna take a little time because we need to build again, you know, and find money.
And the machine has changed too. And I'm sure for a band who travels as much as you do, just like the change of digital equipment, you know, and all that stuff. Like even now I'm going back out and doing a few shows and I'm just noticing everything's different. Everything's different. You know, all the sound guys have iPads and it's all different. So like everything needs to be retooled, you know, to get it back into shape. So
yeah, Orange Man has an iPad for a sound board. We're that way.
Yeah, well, it makes sense. I mean, it's so damn easy to carry.
Things are smaller and lighter, except my bass.
You're using the Ashdowns now, right?
Yeah, I found a great rig for me, you know, and it's lighter than what I had before, but still heavier than what most bass players are lugging around in their backpacks now.
Yeah, I was in Long McQuaid yesterday, and there's a brand new line of Ashdowns there. There's about 8 of them, and on the top of them is a big thing that says "Pick Me Up." So I had to go over and try, and I grabbed the 115, 200 watt 115, and I could literally lift it with a finger.
Amazing.
It's like it's made of cardboard. I just felt like, is there even a speaker in it? But these things sound good, like at lower volumes. Like you can't really pump them to stadium volume, not that I'm aware of anyways.
Yeah.
But I've used some of those smaller lightweight rigs and they're fucking excellent.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what they're doing these days. But
still, my head is still in stadium. Like it's really hard for me to get out of that. You know, I have, my rig is a monster, but I have to turn it down.
Yeah.
I'm always ready for the stadium.
Well, I mean, I've got my 810, which goes out for the Watchmen shows. And I'm occasionally tempted to bring it out for some of the other shows, but the reality is I just don't need it. And it kills my back.
Yeah. Hurts my back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of my daily things now that I have to deal with is my back pain. That's from too many years of abuse. Yeah,
I had to buy myself a really good strap because I was throwing my spine out with this, you know, playing bass and jumping around. And I said, I can stop jumping around or I can get a good strap. So I got a good strap because I can't stop jumping around.
Yeah, I'm the same. Every time a Watchmen show comes up, I'm like, I'm just going to go out and stand there tonight. I'm not going to do all that stuff. And as soon as Sammy counts in, like all of a sudden I'm on the ground sprawled out. I'm like, what the hell am I doing? Stop doing this.
Yeah. You have some good moves, Ken, though. You got those moves, you know, you spread the legs and you sort of cock your head low and you drag your bass along the stage. that's a good move because it's not putting a lot of pressure on your spine too much. You know, you got to stretch.
You're actually right.
Develop a good presence that will last into your golden years.
No, I mean, I can still get away with it for a few more years, I think, but that's probably it. So you are officially the fifth interview of everybody who sang, of all the five guest vocalists on All Together. I did Ron Hawkins, Danny. Now I got you. Dave Gunning was there. Who was the other one? Oh, there was
Matt
another.
Mays?
Matt Mays. That's right. So
Yeah.
you're the fifth of the collection. So that's exciting today. It kind of rounds everything out and puts together.
That was amazing. Thank you so much for asking me. I was so excited, and I feel bad because I sent you a track with buzz on it, and I since figured out how to get rid of that buzz. And I always think about you when that buzz comes into my life. But it was a great fun, and thank you for asking me. It was great to have the record. I've never had my voice on a piece of vinyl, so it's the first time.
It was an amazing thing to do. I have so much gratefulness for Mike Turner. He stepped up and really helped me put that together because my life was falling apart at the same time. And he was just amazing at helping me coordinate everything. But, putting 42 musicians onto a record that aren't hearing what each other are doing and not hearing anything aside from a guide track was a challenge. But man, it was fun. What a great thing to do during a pandemic. Next time there's another pandemic, I recommend trying it out.
Very, very cool idea. Very cool idea. Yeah.
Good way to spend some time.
And the album artwork was great too. Really loved it. It's great.
Tim Lee did that. Yeah, he's an artist that I met down in Asheville, Carolina, and I love his stuff. And it was funny because when I asked him about the album, I said, "Do you have anything that I could use?" And he said, "I've got this old painting that's never been used," and he sent it to me. And I looked at it and I went, and he hadn't seen me with a beard or long hair.
Yeah.
And he sent me the cover and I went, "Oh my God, that looks like me." So that doesn't look anything like you. And I sent him a picture of me now and he went, "Oh my God, it does look like you." What's that?
That's great. That's amazing.
It was a really weird thing. Serendipitous, I guess.
Yeah.
So we've got a few minutes here left. C-Spot Run, any touring coming up, or you just is the intention to tour come up?
Just one-offs for now.
Cool.
Working out some one-offs available to anybody who wants to hire us right now.
Excellent. Well, I'm going to be, like I mentioned to you in the email, the Legion up here has been bringing some acts in, and I think you guys would put off a fantastic show up here and people will love you. So I'm talking to Steve about getting you up sometime. I think that'd be fun, and it'd be a great chance to hang out as well.
Absolutely.
Is there any news that you have to report?
What's that?
Any news that you have to report at all?
No news yet. I told you all my stories.
Cool.
There's more stories.
Oh, I'm sure. There's always stories. And you still haven't told me after all these years, what is the secret to the Fountain of Youth and where have you found it? I still can't figure out how you look like you're 22.
I think it's, well, thank you. Thank you. I think part of it is I'm blessed with good genes. My family, my mom, my dad, all their extended brothers and sisters all look really good. So part of it is I'm lucky. And I guess growing up listening to Gene Simmons talking about no doing drugs, no smoking, and no drinking, I think it might have helped me a little.
Especially in the 80s when everybody was smoking so much. I mean, had you been a smoker back then, you would have had Leatherface for sure.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I ingested a lot of secondhand smoke. And then when smoking was banned from venues, about 9 years after that, I got chest x-rays to see if I was okay, and I was okay. But yeah, I didn't smoke, I didn't drink. That saved me a lot of money, and I think it had a little bit of an effect, but hey, I'm not preaching.
Excellent. Well, thank you for coming on the show, Steve. Steve.
I'll say a story about Steve, Ken, okay? When I a young man, a young child, 8 years old, 7 years old, I hated my name. Now, my real name is Christoph, and my mom called me Christoph, and I hated that name. And my cousin, who was very popular and older than me, his name was Steve, and I just wanted to be called Steve all the time. So thank you.
There you go. So it's actually Christoph, eh?
Christoph, yeah. It's just my father is from Switzerland. I'm a citizen of Switzerland, and my heritage is Swiss.
That explains the youthful look. Swiss people are like that. Yeah, you've got the Swiss gene.
I got to tell you my full name, Ken, right here live on your show. Anton Christoph Brodbeck IV.
That's fucking brilliant. Anton Christoph Brodbeck IV.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for taking the time to come on the Whiskey Wednesday show with us. I'm very, very happy to be your friend, and I'm enamored with all the success you've had, both in life and music. It's just great. You've been a great person to have in my life for as long as it's been, and I look forward to seeing you in person again sometime soon. Let's
make it happen. If you ever come to this part of the woods, then just give me a call. Let me know. Give me some advance notice, and we'll go for
something.
We'll go for auto sandwich or something like that.
Absolutely, absolutely. We're down to the last few seconds before Zoom kicks me off because of their 40-minute limit. So thank you again, and I'll be in touch real soon about trying to get you up for the Legion, and we'll talk next week about the video.
Thank you so much, Ken. It was an honor.
Thanks, brother. I love you. Okay. And apparently we're back. I'm still laughing. Oh my God, look at how red I am from laughing. It could be the temperature on the camera has changed. I hope I don't look that red. Jesus Christ. I'm having a heart attack here. No, that was funny. Oh my God. Well, it was actually funny because, when I actually spelled his name out, I misspelled it. Brobeck, Chris Brobeck the fourth. Anton Christoph Brobeck the fourth. Was it the third? No, the fourth. Yeah, but I spelled Brobeck wrong. But man, so much fun talking to a good old friend there, a great music creator, an unbelievable performer, one of the most loyal and dedicated guys you'll ever met, Chris Brodbeck. And really cool band, C Spot Run, and the Orange Man Group too. If you ever see them coming to your town, go check them out because they are. I tell you, if you go to see C Spot Run show and like you come out, and you're like, I didn't really get that or I don't like it, send me an email and tell me how much your ticket was, and I'll send you your money back because it's fucking worthy. I guarantee it. Now, don't just do it to fuck me for like $20, though. I mean, come on. This has got to be a real thing. Oh, man. Thanks, Shay. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We're going to end off the night here with one last song. We're going to do a song, a new one off the record. One that brought me a little bit of issue at first. The idea from the song came from something I heard somewhere. And I thought, well, that's a catchphrase you could write a song around. I kind of thought that's the cheesiest thing in the world. It's like one of the cheesiest. It's one of the most, overused concepts. The idea of when your heart is broken that you should just go have sex with somebody. Go get over it. And it's a common cliche. So I thought, well, what if I just populate a bunch of stanzas of a song with cliches that kind of revolve around this? And, without getting into the sort of, driving down the dirt road with your pretty pink toes on the dashboard and with a cold, whatever beer it is everybody drinks. What beer?
I'm glad you're talking to Ken over there and not me.
No, I'm looking around at both of you. I'm trying to figure out. There's a lot of these concepts in country music that are more modern than the older concepts. So this is a bit of a pairing of both, maybe. I'm not sure. But either way, the intent isn't to offend. The intent is not to generate, whatever. It's just something that came out, and I thought, oh, it's kind of neat, and it's fun to play. So it'll be on the new record, unless somebody convinces me otherwise. But it ain't going to happen. This is a song called Over You. 1, 2, 3. You broke my heart. You've been untrue. I can't bear to spend another minute with you. Cold-hearted girl, you ruined my life. Now I'm moving on, I won't stay to fight. I'm gonna pack my bags, take all that I can, and get far away from you and your new old man. Well, I can't say when, someday soon you'll see I'll be over you as soon as she gets under me. For years I've tried, I tried to please. You had me on the go, you had me on my knees. For years I've tried, I tried to do you right. All those toothless words sure rang true tonight. I'm moving on, I'm leaving you behind. I can't say that I'm happy, you treated me so unkind. I can't say when, but someday soon you'll see I'll be over you as soon as she gets under me. All the friends that I had, the things that I loved to do, you crushed all my dreams. Now I'm leaving you. I can't say when, but someday soon you'll see I'll be over you as soon as she gets under me. I'll be over you as soon as she gets under me. I'll be over you as soon as she gets under me, yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you again. Thank you, Neil, for coming out and spending another evening with us.
pleasure.
Thank you, Mr. Grant, for coming out and spending another evening with us. And, of course, to the wonderful Barry for coming across the street again, like he did last week in the snowstorm. It's a brilliant thing. Oh, my God, he presses so many
That's right.
buttons.
Thanks to Barry for coming
That
across.
I can't believe that we used to do this show, like before, it was just me and Caitlin, and for a while it was me. And like I would do this show on my own. At one point I was doing my own switching and everything, like playing chords, and it's just like, wow, it's come a long way, you know. And Barry, we couldn't do it without you, man. You do such a fantastic job every week, and you know this shit inside out. And every time I throw a new piece of software at you, you learn it. And fucking kudos to you, brother. It's a wonderful thing to have you on board.
Thanks, Ken.
Yeah, absolutely. Cheers. Stephen, I hope you're feeling better for next week. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the end of the Whiskey Wednesday show. Please go out into the world and let's try something here now. Hey, so thanks for tuning into the Whiskey Wednesday show. So maybe go out into the world and do something good. No, that sounds really pretentious. How about this one? How about Fuck, man, I don't know. It's been 3 years and I don't have a proper
How about
closing.
cheers, see you next Wednesday.
I will cheers, see you next Wednesday is what it is. It was the last thing I said. Maybe that's it. I still feel obliged to say we enjoy spending time with you, helping you pass some time, forget about some of the things in the world that you might want to think about, whatever they are, and maybe even just sort of entertain you. Anyways, cheers. We'll see you next week. Take care. Once again, thanks for spending another Wednesday with us here at Storyhouse Studios. Thanks to Trainer, Yorkville, and a Longtooth Beverage Company for being a part of the show. We love our time on the Whiskey Wednesday show and appreciate all of your support. Don't forget to hit up the tip jar if you feel so inclined. Never expected, but always appreciated. Tune in every week for more guests, songs, stories, drinks, and gear talk. And don't forget to visit the website, www.kentizzard.com, to sign up for the Whiskey Wednesday wrap-up. Compiled by Allison, this is a monthly overview with highlights, directories of songs, and so much more. Be kind, be helpful, be happy, be safe. See you next week.